That's a good one. Okay, so I'm sorry we don't have copies today. There was a little bit of a, I don't know what to say it, but we were supposed to have copies of a new Maamar. But Rat Hashem will start the new Maamar next week. We'll have copies next week. So,
Is it from volume 1?
what?
Is it from volume 1?
It's in that book. How many volumes are there? Are there two? Yeah, it's called V'atat Titzaveh. It's the last Maamar the Rebbe gave before the Stalkus, before Gimel Tammuz. The last Maamar we were privileged to hear from the Rebbe's mouth. It's a very good Maamar. But so in lieu of the Maamar, we'll learn something about Shavuos. And Yani Diyom Shavuos is coming up. A very interesting Midrash the Rebbe brings, and it says that at the time of Matan Torah, the Shasha Olam Moshe Rabbeinu L'Moram, when Moshe Rabbeinu went up, and it says that Moshe Rabbeinu, that there was a cloud, smoke, Har Sinai was smoking. Moshe went up to the Shamayim, he went up to the heavens. For 40 days he was up. He was up there, he didn't eat, he didn't drink. So the Midrash says that at that time when Moshe went up, the Malachi Asharis, the angels, the ministering angels said before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono Shel Olam, Ma liyalod isha beinenu. What is this offspring of a woman doing up here with us? Amalei, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to the angels, L'kabel Torah, he came to receive the Torah. Amr Lefanav. So the angel said back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chamuda genuza shegenuza, a special hidden treasure. Atam mevakesh liten lebasav adam, and you're giving it to mortal flesh and blood. This great treasure that you have Torah, that you have hidden away, you're giving it to mortals of flesh and blood. Ma enosh, and they quoted a pasuk from Tehillim. Ma enosh tizkarenu. What is man that you should remember him? Tanah hoyitcha al hashamayim. They quoted another pasuk in Tehillim. Give your glory to the heavens. Don't give the Torah down here. Give it to us. Amalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Hichzir lem tshuva. You answer. Kadosh Baruch Hu didn't answer the angels, but the Moshe answered. So Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi doesn't bring this, but the Midrash continues that Moshe Rabbeinu was a little frightened. So Kadosh Baruch Hu told him to hold on to the Kisei HaKavod, and Moshe Rabbeinu held on to the Kisei HaKavod, the divine, what do we call it? The chariot? The divine chair? What is it? Throne.
Throne of glory.
Throne of glory. Held on to the, thank you, Ovadia. Held on to the throne of glory. And then he answered the Malachim. What did he say to them? He said, Ribono Shel Olam, he spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but he spoke also to the Malachim. Torah Shatan Otenli, the Torah you're giving me. Maktiva, what's written in it? Anoichi Hashem Elokecha asher tzeisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. It's written in there that I am the Lord your God who took you out of the land of Egypt. And then he said to the Malachim, L'Mitzrayim iradatem, to Egypt you went down. L'paro hishabadatem, to Paro you were slaves. Torah lama yiten lechem. Why should the Torah be given to you? Torah is talking about those who were slaves in Egypt. You weren't slaves in Egypt. And then he said, Shuv maktivba lo yelecha elokim acharim. Should have no other gods before me. Ben ha'amim atem shruim. He said to the Malachim, you live amongst the Gentiles, shoivdim avodah zarah, that worship idols. You have this problem that you have to be commanded not to worship idols. It's obviously the Torah is shaykh to us, not to you. And Rabbi says, well, and every Dibra of a Dibra and every one of the 10 utterances, Moshe Rabbeinu answered them. And Rabbi gives an example, like it says, Masu matan yesh beinechem, you have business dealings between you that you have to be told not to steal. Ava em yesh lachem. You have a mother and father that you have to be told to honor your father and mother. Kina yesh b'neichem. Jealousy you have amongst them. A yitzhar you have amongst yourselves. No, none of these things. So when Moshe Rabbeinu answered the Malachim with these answers, they agreed. And they said, Niyad hodu lo l'kodesh baruch hu. They said, yes, we agree. They told the Kodesh Baruch Hu, yes, give the Torah to Bnei Yisrael. That's the Midrash. Interesting Midrash, right? So the Mefarshim asked a lot of questions on this Midrash. And they say that what was the Tana of the Malachim? That the Malachim should have the Torah by them. Moshe answered them so beautifully. What was their original question? What they didn't know? These answers, they didn't know what was written in the Torah. So the Mefarshim say that their Tana was that they have a din of a bar mitzvah. They have a law in the Torah itself. The law of bar mitzvah applies to them. What's a bar mitzvah? Anyone know what a bar mitzvah is? Bar mitzvah is if someone has a field and he wants to sell his field, so that his neighbor is called the bar mitzvah. His neighbor gets a precedence to buy that field over any other purchasers because it's beneficiary to the neighbor that he should have. If he has two fields, they should be connected, right? It's much better that he has two fields in one place than one field here and one field in another place. So that was what their basis of their claim that the Torah should be given to them on the halacha of a bar mitzvah, of a bar mitzvah. And the Torah says, you have to do what's correct and righteous in the eyes of Hashem. And that was their Tana, that was their claim. Since the Torah is this hidden treasure, meaning that it's hidden up here in Shemayim, in the heavens, and we're in the heavens. So on us, the Malachim were saying, is the law of a bar mitzvah. We have to. We should have the first precedence to receive the Torah, and therefore they said, give your hod, your glory to the heavens. I guess their hod means the Torah. The Rebbe asks, you can understand, even though it's already written in the Torah, you could ask a question. The Torah is filled with commandments. Daber b'nei Yisrael, tzavos b'nei Yisrael, right? That Hashem commands more to speak to the Jews, to the Jewish people, and to command the Jewish people. So the Malachim should see from that the Torah already is. It's already michuvan. It's already directed. It's already designed for the Jewish people down here. So the Rebbe says that the din of a bar mitzvah is so powerful that even if the seller of the land already sold his field to someone else, and the person paid for the field, the bar mitzvah can nullify that agreement. He can nullify it. He said, it was improper sale. I'm the bar mitzvah. I'm the neighbor. I have first priority. Even though the sale was already made, he can go to the Beit Din. They'll nullify the sale. The buyer then will have to get his money back. The bar mitzvah will pay him, and the bar mitzvah will take over the field. So if the claim of the Malachim is so powerful, so how then did Moshe Rabbeinu, by his answers, be mafrich their claim? How did he dispute their claim? So the Rebbe brings the Mefarshim discuss this. They bring a lot of different answers. Eventually, the Rebbe will say a much greater answer. But let's just say very quickly what the answers that the Mefarshim bring are over here. Is that they say, number one, that the din of a bar mitzvah only applies to land and not to movables, and the Torah is not land, right? Now the Rebbe says the Torah came from a high place to a low place. It moved. It's the same Torah. right? When we learn down here, the Torah that we learn, which is the garments, are in Dvarim Gashmim, right? Are in physical matters. So the Torah up above, there are no physical things. It talks about a donkey and a cow. There aren't donkeys and cows up in Shamayim, but the spiritual source of the halachas are up in Shamayim. Like it says, there are a couple of examples that I'm sure there are many examples that the Chachamim bring, but a couple of examples are, it says that there's one Mishnah which says when two people find a talis, a garment, and they both grab onto this garment at the same time, right? So who does it belong to? So the Mishnah says, let them have it, let them separate it in half, each will get a half. And up above, if two people have a skut of influencing another person to perform Torah and mitzvahs, who's going to get the reward for influencing that person? So it's going to be divided between them. That's one spiritual thing. And then there's another thing where it talks about, that Rabbi Rechavia brings, where it talks about negoim. Negoim are blemishes that can disqualify different things, different types of korbanos. They can disqualify the korban itself. If a kohen has a blemish, he's not allowed to work in the Beis Hamikdash. If there's a blemish on the Jewish people, they're not allowed to go into the temple. There's a lot of dinim that have to do with blemishes. So blemishes above, the Rebbe Rashab discusses that blemishes are types of machsomim. What do you call it when you're driving on the road and all of a sudden there's a barricade and you can't continue? What do you call that? Barricade. A roadblock. Blemishes are types of roadblocks that prevent the shefa, the spiritual flow of godliness and blessing that should come into the world if there's no roadblocks. Blemishes are types of spiritual roadblocks that prevent this flow. And the Rebbe Rashab says, and in Olam Atzilus, where it's just godliness, right? So it's normally the godliness goes through the Eser Spheros, through the 10 vessels, the 10, did he say Spheros? Sphirot in English, that has a word?
Oh, no. Spears. Or spheres.
Spheres, okay. So that's also a type of a block in that progression, that from Chokhmah and from Seichel, it doesn't go into Midos, and within Midos itself, it doesn't flow down. So the Torah exists above. It exists in the spiritual planes. There aren't physical objects, but those physical objects are how the spirituality is affected in the physical plane. It's the same Torah, it's the same ideas, but when it's on a spiritual level, it's divested of any physical elements. And when it comes down here, we talk about the physical, but we're alluding to the godliness that's in everything. And that's what it means. Torah's like mayim, right? When mayim could be a form of steam, it could be a form of liquid, it could be of ice, but it's the same water. And Torah may come in the world in different garments, but it's the same Torah. So Torah is not land. Land is immovable. Torah moves. It moves. So therefore, this din of a bar mitzvah, who says that we were saying that when Moshe went up to Shamayim, the angels didn't want Hashem to give him the Torah. They wanted to stay by then, and they said we're like a bar mitzvah. A bar mitzvah is a neighbor that can prevent his neighbor who's selling the field to sell it to someone else. He said, I should have the first priority. So they said, since this Torah is a holy spiritual think that's hidden away, you should give it to us. So one thing the unfortunately say is that the whole din of a bar mitzvah applies to land and not to movable objects, and we see the Torah is not land. The second thing that Rebbe says, no, it's not the Rebbe that says it actually, it's Baba Metzia, that a bar mitzvah applies to a sale and not to a gift or a Yerusha or an inheritance. And the Torah is called also a gift and also an inheritance. And not only that, the Rebbe says not only are the Malachim close to a Kodesh Baruch Hu, but Bnei Yisrael is close to a Kodesh Baruch Hu too. So why should the Malachim be considered closer to a Kodesh Baruch Hu than Bnei Yisrael, especially since it says in the Torah itself, Mi goy gadol asher lo yalukim krovim alav. Who is a nation like Bnei Yisrael that Hashem is so close to them? And v'zot ra'od, and it also says in the Torah that Bnei Yisrael are called banim l'makom, shalom aleichem. The Bnei Yisrael are called children of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Ubenogel kroivim, and when it comes to family, and especially children, they have more of a claim to the land that the person wants to sell or give than the neighbors. So that also knocks out the claim of the angels who said that the Torah should not be given to us, but should stay up in Shamayim. Moshe Rabbeinu went up there and he told them it belongs to us. Not only that, but there's another pirush that Moshe Rabbeinu is called an Ish Elokim, a godly man. And the Midrash says his half and down was an Ish, was a man, and his half and up was Hashem, was godliness. He fused godliness and in a body. So Moshe Rabbeinu also then therefore had a din of a bar mitzvah, since he was half godly, half of his being was a godly being. He also was like an angel. So therefore, he also has this din of a bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah is the neighbor who can say the field should belong to me because I'm the neighbor. I can get benefit from it. Also, it says about not just about Moshe Rabbeinu, but also about the Bnei Yisrael, that Moshe Rabbeinu, anyone who sits on a Beit Din, and Moshe Rabbeinu was the Toisek for Bnei Yisrael. He stood. Bnei Yisrael came to him all day and all night, and therefore called a shutaf with a Kodesh Baruch Hu. He's called a shutaf is a partner with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And also Bnei Yisrael, every Jew is called a partner. Like you say in Shabbos, that by a fool, right? Hashem bara Elokim lasot, that the Kodesh Baruch Hu created the word lasot, and the Chachamim say lasot means litaken. A Kodesh Baruch Hu created a world with the potential to reveal Him, with the potential to make this world a wonderful, wonderful place. And He gave over that task to the Jewish people in particular, and the Gentiles also have a task to make the world safe and safe place, a place where justice rules. It should be just. They should create just societies. Gentiles are created. We have just society. They have a law to create that they should see that justice should reign. But justice not enough. Justice is a good thing. I'm going to live in a society. Right? I don't want to have a militia to make sure that my neighbor's not going to steal my house and kidnap my family. Right? And the same thing, my neighbor too. He doesn't want to have a militia to make sure that no one steals his house, kidnaps their family. What the sages and should always pray for the welfare of the government. Good reason. You remember For if not for fear, the punishment of those who break the law, man would eat his neighbor alive. I mean, I can rail that's what we should do. Melech start with you. Give our leaders the wisdom to act properly and fearlessly. Right? I just noticed you have a horn there. Do you use it? So, I heard once a very beautiful mashal from the Cheskel Asayich, who explained the difference between the Taki, the purpose of the Gentiles, what their purpose is in the world, and the purpose of the Jewish people in the world, with a beautiful mashal. He said one time there was a king, and the king gave a plan. He gave a plan to the people, and he gave them all the raw materials to build the structure for him. But the workers were lazy, and the workers were irresponsible, and the workers were evil, and they stole the materials, and they misused the materials, and they mishandled the materials. And the king got rid of those workers, and he brought a new set of workers, and he gave them the plan, and he gave them the raw materials, and he said, build this place for me. So they were conscientious and responsible, and they looked at the plan, and they built the structure according to the plan. But they had no idea what this structure was for. They built it according to the plan. And they saw that it had a slanted floor, and they saw it had very interesting ceiling with like little cubes going up. And they saw that the chairs were on this slanted floor, and they saw in the beginning there was this podium which was lifted up, and you could go into as much detail as you like. And each one had an idea. One said that it would be a place of shade in the heat because it's very hot out, and this place was shady. And another person said it was a place to gather the donkeys. Another person said it was a place to sell things. Nobody knew. And then the king told everyone to sit down, right? Told everyone to sit down. And he said, now watch. And there was a curtain also. There was a curtain in front of the stage. And the curtain all of a sudden opened. And everyone saw a philharmonic. Everyone seen a philharmonic. There's many different instruments. And the conductor lifted his hands and went like this. And everyone began to play. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful sound. It was beautiful music, beautiful harmony. And then all of a sudden you realize that all the details of this building were all for the purpose that the philharmonic, the music, we should be able to see everyone, and there was an acoustic ceiling. We should be able to hear anyone, and all the details were for the philharmonic. But the music was, they had strings, I guess. So Rabbi Sofer said that the Gentiles, they have to make the world a yeshuv tov, a good place to live, a safe place to live, where there's laws and people aren't afraid of getting murdered and getting their houses stolen and their property stolen. It has to be rule of law. That people can conduct their lives and live their lives properly. That's the 7 mitzvahs that I know. And each mitzvah has its particular area and importance. No, that's not one of the 7 mitzvahs. But there has to be courts of justice. But justice is not a word that can be perverted. I mean, the real meaning of justice is justice the way the Torah defines justice. There's right and wrong, and to educate properly, not what's the word? Pervert it. The virtue, that's right, and call evil good. That's just a perversion of justice. And by the way, I don't know if you're aware, but the United States of America actually has a law, congressional law, that the Congress of the United States of America accepted the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach as the basis of all just societies in the world, and committed themselves to following these laws, because America also needs to be a just society. It's actually one of the bills that was passed by the House of Representatives and approved by the Senate. Chabad introduced it. Reagan accepted it. The Rebbe, it was the Rebbe that was the... No. Yeah, and they'd also, they made a National Education Day to commemorate that also. The honor of the Rebbe on, I think it was his 80th or 70th birthday. So, but the Jewish people, right, now that we have this nice society to live in, and people are acting righteously to the extent that they're not harming others. So now the Jewish people is this Philharmonic, to the Yaakov, right, in the mushroom. And it's our job to bring the light of a Kodesh Baruch, the holiness of a Kodesh Baruch. We're the Philharmonic that brings this Kedusha into the world and to light up the world. And the maestro, that's the Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation, the conductor that tells each person what his task is, or at least gives him direction in order to know what he has to focus on and what he has to emphasize. Yeah. So, I don't remember how we got on that subject. So the Rebbe says, and Rebbe, there are another few tirutzim. So, we're all partners. So we're all partners of a Kodesh Baruch Hu in making the dear B'tachtonim, the entire Jewish people, not just Moshe Rabbeinu. And a partner has a higher priority, just like a family member, than the bar mitzvah. So the Rebbe says, all these answers that the Mefarshim give, they're all good answers, but they're actually not answering the question, because Moshe Rabbeinu didn't bring any of these answers. Moshe Rabbeinu could have brought all these answers when he answered them all, but he didn't answer them that. He didn't answer that way. And before the Rebbe explains how Moshe Rabbeinu's answers were really answering the deeper question the Malachim had over here, the Rebbe also says that it's also possible to say that the Malachim understood that the Torah, the Niglash of the Torah, is not giant for them. They wanted the Nisr, they wanted the Pnimius of Torah, they wanted the godliness of the Torah, the spirituality of the Torah shouldn't be given down here. Give the Jewish people the Nigla. Give them the halachas. They need to know how they need to act. But keep the Kedusha of the Torah. They don't need that. Keep that by us, because we're Malachim. We're living in a world of Kedusha. Right? The Malachim is not a world of darkness. It's a world of Kedusha. Right? The different Malachim say, some say Kodesh, some say Kodesh Kodesh, some say Kodesh Kodesh Kodesh. They're all sensing their experience is all one of godliness and how they love God and fear God, or they're intellectually burning up from their understanding of a Kodesh Baruch. So, the godliness of the Torah. Right. So you have basically pardes, yeah, 4 areas of Torah. Pardes is Pshat, Remez, Drush, and Sod. So today is Lag BaOmer. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai began revealing the soul of the Torah to the Jewish people through the Zohar. That's why we're so happy. Usually on a person's yortzeit, it's not such a happy day. But Rabbi Shimon's yortzeit, he wanted everyone to be happy, and it was a great light which revealed in the world, and we still live by that. So it's a happy day. No, it's interesting. You have throughout the Jewish calendar, all the holidays, you have holidays that are in the Torah, right? Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, Kippur, Shmini Atzeres. Yeah, so there's something good to say. And then you have holidays that are Midrash, right? Hanukkah, Purim. And then you have one day in the year that's celebrated by all groups of Jews, right? They don't say, it's a holiday. Well, passing the righteous field of the great tzaddik and should have died. That was it. Why is that? Why is it the entire Jewish nation all unite and all say, yes, Lag BaOmer is a holiday. Lag BaOmer is a holiday. We don't say Takno. We rejoice on Lag BaOmer. Why is that? So perhaps we could say that when it comes to the English of the Torah, where you're learning about ox, goat, cow, donkey, his property, my property, damages. We're learning about things, concepts that are wrapped and expressed in physical garments. So it's possible to not sense the godliness that's within it and giving it its life, and that's its true existence of these halachas.
Right? Like almost that good.
Really? And whenever it's sought today, this is how it is. It's accepted by the whole Jewish people. And because that's the truth. The truth is that the halacha is davar avad. When a person is learning halacha, he's learning legal of Torah, any part of Torah, he's connecting with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu is in there. The eraisa that should be for Kulochan. But when you're learning the legal of Torah, sometimes you forget about it. You be so involved in the sugya in Gemara and in the concept that you're trying to debate and understand and get to the halacha. What's the halacha? Can I use the pot or not? Is the food kosher or not? You can forget of the kedusha that's in everything. When it comes to Pnimius Torah is talking in a direct manner about kedusha. It's talking about godliness and it's talking about our soul and how Kodesh Baruch Hu is one. So when it comes to Pnimius Torah, you can't make that mistake. And Pnimius Torah is talking like it says in Anya in Parak 32, chapter Lamed Day, Lev. The Alter Rebbe says that it's only the bodies that are different. The Israel is one entity. It's only the bodies that separate us. You have your body, I have my body, right? But the souls, we're all one. We all have one Father. We all come from the same root. So that octave is expressed in Pnimius Torah. And that therefore, on Lag BaOmer, that octave is expressed like the entire Jewish people. The entire Jewish people connect to that octave. So, yeah. So, the Rebbe says, another tirutz we find, where the Malachim were saying, he gives this tirutz, the Alshif. Heard of the Alshif? Alshif is, well, Drush. You want to learn Drush, learn the Alshif. There's about the people with the Rebbe. So, it says now that in the ego that you went into arguments. There were four arguments about a story. The four that went into the arguments, the four that went through all the different levels of your Torah. And it says that three of them had issues. They got messed up. One went dark. One became crazy. The only Rebbe, what was the third one? He became a collector. He became a collector. A non-believer? I don't know, a denier. And Rabbi Akiva, nichnas b'shalom, he yotze b'shalom. He went in peace, and he came out in peace. And the Rebbe says, the reason he's able to come out in peace, because he went in peace. What does that mean? The Rebbe explains it just like by another than Avihu, with the sons of Aaron and Cohen. We know that on the first of Nisan, when the Mishkan was erected in the desert, in the year after the Jewish people left, year after the Jewish people received the Torah. So first there was the golden calf, right? There's a Shavuot period, and then there's and then we started building the Mishkan. And on the first of Nisan, HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle. But none of the Avihu died. They offered up incense, and they died. And the Or HaChaim explains what happened for the Eish Zarah. What happened? Their love of Hashem, their desire to connect to Hashem was so great that they wanted to connect to Hashem, even if it meant that they would die, even if they meant that they would leave this physical world, because this physical world is only temporary. The neshama is a meanscleave, the neshama is part of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And they sensed how the neshama was connecting with the Kodesh Baruch Hu when they wanted to leave this world. And that's what happened. They expired. They left. They're in their great desire to connect to the Kodesh Baruch Hu. They did. They got their desire. Their wish was fulfilled, and they died. And that's what happened also to one of the people who went into the paradise, not the Rabbi Akiva. One of them expired. He died because he experienced godliness, and he just was so enthralled and so encaptured by it and connected to it that he expired. His soul left his body. But Rabbi Akiva understood that the purpose of Torah, the purpose of godliness in this world,
Lo b'shamayim.
Lo b'shamayim. The purpose is to make a deer b'tachtonim. The purpose is in this world, a neshama in a body. That's called deer b'tachtonim. Therefore, Rabbi Akiva, before he even went into the paradise, he understood. But since the purpose is that the neshama has to remain in a body, when it came to the point of no return, right? If I'm going to go a little higher, I'm not going to be able to come back. You can stop. He was able to do that. Came back. With the Shalom. He got something. So the Malachim said, give us the Pnimius Hakar. Don't give the Pnimius Hakar to the Jewish people because they don't need it. They need the halachas. So we'll see if that, how that you'll see. Huh? Right, so that's what the Alshik says. That was their kana. So Rebbe gives a bunch of more to it. And then the Rebbe gives, I'm not going to go into it because I'd like to finish receipt for today. And because next week we're going to start a new Maamar, so I'll give the Rebbe's explanation. Happily, so the Torah is that through the Torah, we, the Jewish people, are able to fulfill the intention of a Kodesh Baruch Hu when creating the world. That a Kodesh Baruch Hu desires that there should be a world of Dira B'Tachtonim. And the Rebbe says, Yadu Hadiyu, the Lashon Dira, it's well known, the exact, the exactness of the term Dira, a dwelling. Kishekem sha'adam nimsa b'dirasa yivol atzmusai, kach nisav HaKadosh Baruch Hu sha'atzmusa yisparach b'yetim sh'etim b'dachtonim. That just like a person is himself in his home, so too a HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to reveal his full self in this world. Right? And you go, you're not always yourself. We're not always ourselves. Right? Sometimes we're in situations where we're in a professional environment. We have to act according to the ways of that profession, right? And sometimes we Who knows? There's a lot of different places and situations and scenarios where the environment affects how we conduct ourselves. Huh? Yeah, not that we should ever, plus shalom, be not honest or not true, right? But certain times, for example, let's say you're a verbrand Chabad. You're a verbrand Chabad. You know what verbrand means? You're on fire with the words of the Rebbe. And you want to share the Rebbe's Torah thoughts. You want to share the Rebbe's Torah thoughts. But you go into a shul that's, that's not where they're at, right? But you want to still influence them. So you're not going to say things in the same way where you would say it. If you see the shofar bragging, you'll give over the same ideas, but you'll give it over in a way that's not going to trigger any antagonism that might be latent. So, but in a person's home, that's where they have themselves. That's where you go. When you get to your home, it's my place. I'm the boss. I'm the king. I'm the king of the castle. So I'm going to act like the way the king acts. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants that his essence should be revealed in this low world. And that kavanah, that idea, that desire is fulfilled through Torah. Through Torah, the Midrash says, you take me, you bring me into the world. And the Rebbe says that through this argument, that's how you defeat the argument of the angels. Because the din is that if the bar mitzvah, the neighbor, wants to plant the field, and the buyer wants to build a structure on the field, the one that wants to build a structure, he has more of a claim to the field than the bar mitzvah. And this is regarding our discussion, that since the whole purpose of the world, the whole purpose of the giving of the Torah is to make this world a dwelling place for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by. Therefore, the Bnei Yisrael have the upper hand against the Malach. Now, this didn't answer the question, though. Why do you need to get Pnimius at that? The Rebbe will answer that too. I'm just going to skip a little bit. Now the Rebbe says, this is what Moshe Rabbeinu meant when he said, were you in Eretz Mitzrayim? You have business dealings, you have a Yitzhahara. These are things that are shy of the basic the Bnei Yisrael. This is shy to the physical world. Tafka. Therefore, the Torah has to come down into the physical world. And the Rebbe says that the fact that the Torah wasn't given to the Malachim, it doesn't mean that the upper worlds don't need the revelation of godliness that comes about through Torah. They also need it. Because mitzad atzma, their existence is only a glimmer of godliness. And that's not godliness itself. When I look at your reflection in the mirror, I don't see you. I see a reflection or you. Right? In Gan Eden it says the Neshamas are nehenim miznivat shtuna. They are having pleasure from the ray of the shtuna. But we discussed that the ray of the sun, right, is a ha'ora. It's something that comes out of the sun, right? But it is not. It expresses the power of the sun. That the sun is a luminary and it illuminates in the way the sun does, but it's not the sun itself. It's not the sun itself. The ray of the sun, if the sun itself, though we discussed that in those who were here in the beginning when we learned Shayat but Memuna, if the sun itself would be revealed to everything, there would be no ability to exist the way we exist. We need the ray of the sun because the power of the sun itself is too much for us to contain. It's too much for our vessels. Okay, that's right. So therefore, also too in the upper worlds, the rays of godliness that they're in, that they ahead with, they unite with, are matched with their ability to receive, their ability to absorb and receive and sense godliness, not to overwhelm them. Also here, the Torah that we learn, because the godliness is hidden in it, we're able to learn it in the body. But since so that's why we're able to learn it in the body and not fly up to Shamayim, like the sons of Aaron flew up to Shamayim. Then the Shamas flew up to Shamayim. No. Rabbi Zal said that everyone should learn Pnimis Torah now, because in the age of Mashiach, now there's a process that goes on. Okay, it's called Avodas HaBiruri. You take the physical world, if you take a piece of leather, you get a piece of rawhide, and now you want to make it soft into a jacket. You have to do a lot of work on it. You have to take the rawhide and you have to make it into a soft, nice piece of leather or piece of suede. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of effort. And what we do, the Torah is called Oiz. Hashem Oiz, Oz. La'amo yitain. Hashem Yibarach es Amid Shalom. Hashem gives strength to his people. The Torah is called strength. Why is it called strength? Because it gives the body the ability to withstand the revelation that ultimately is going to be of the godliness that right now is in the Torah. It's hidden. Therefore, we can learn it and not expire. At the time when HaKadosh Baruch Hu said the Aseres HaDibros, first two Dibros the Bnei Yisrael heard, and then the Shamas flew out. They died. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to do Tchias HaMesim. And from that time, by learning Torah, by fulfilling mitzvahs, by taking objects that are made of physical elements and using them for the purpose, for Kedusha, for the purpose that they were created, we bring and we draw more godliness and more godliness and more godliness into the physical world, and we give the physical world the strength to contain the revelation of godliness, which will be in the times of Mashiach, and also the different levels, because even when this Mashiach comes, this first Mashiach, and there's not going to be changes in the natural order of creation, and then there's going to be Tchias HaMesim, which is a big change. So it's the Torah that's Torah by relearning it in this body, in the bodies that we have in this world. We draw down HaKadosh Baruch Hu as he is, because he himself is in Torah, like it says, he writes of it, but right now it's hidden. And because it's hidden, we're able to do it. And when we do it, so it brings this level, it brings godliness to all the sacred shtalshalos, to all the spiritual cosmos. So the Rebbe said that Malachim also, in the spiritual worlds, are also in need of more godliness and more godliness and more godliness, because they're only sensing and experiencing a ray of godliness, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu as he is. And through our Torah down here, Nipol Hamshachas Ha'atmis, we are the ones, by learning Torah and keeping mitzvahs down here, we draw Atmis into this world, and it's through all the other worlds. So all the other worlds and this world are elevated by our learning Torah in this world. And the Rebbe says, and a way to understand this is, a mushroom gashmias. When you want to lift up a structure, a giant building, so you have to use a lever. It's a type of a crane, it's a type of thing. And how do you use it? You have to take the lever and you have to put it under the building. And then by putting it under the building, you can lift up the entire building. But if you would take it and put the lever just in the middle of the building, You wouldn't be elevating the other lower worlds.
The
nimshal is that the pnimius of Torah has to be down here in this physical world. Not like the Malachim said, give us the pnimius of Torah, give us the secrets of the Torah. It has to be down here in this physical world, that there's nothing lower than this physical world. Because Dafka al Yedei Zem Yis'ala Habinyan shall say the Kol Habinyan shall say the Rishtalchus. And Moshe Rabbeinu emphasized this when he said to the Malachim, you have a Yetzirah, you have jealousy. Why did he say those things? He wanted to emphasize that the inyan of the lowliness of this world, that there's no world that's lower in level than this world, because this world hides HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light to the extent that it's filled with impurity and impure forces that can even rebel against HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Rebbe says that it's impossible for the Malachim, even if the Torah would be given to them, even if the Pnimius of Torah would be given to the Malachim, it's impossible for the Malachim to make. You might want to say that we'll make a dira in the Elyon. Give us Pnimius of Torah, we'll make a dira in the Elyon. The Rebbe says that the inyan of drawing down a Kodesh Baruch Hu cannot occur, even in the upper worlds, through the Malach. It has to occur through our avodah in this world. Because it's only through our avodah in this world that has the possibility of drawing down Hashem's godliness through the entire spiritual cosmos, elevating them and this world together. Why? Because the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that he wants something. We know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Tzimtzumim. He made retractions, tracted his holiness, that it should be lesser and lesser and more able to be received by receptacles, that receptacles shouldn't be nullified out of existence. But this physical world could never be created through this type of contraction. There had to be an actual hiding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the point where it's hidden. And that's only in this world. That's a novel idea. You take spirituality and you make it lower and lesser and a lesser degree. You take for example, like electricity, yeah? And you're not going to plug in your phone to the power plant's generators. If you plug in your phone to the power plant's generators, you're going to burn up your phone. You plug in your you plug in your phone, first of all, you have to charge it, right? That in itself takes the power that comes from the wall and makes it lesser and appropriate for your phone, right? And that goes through, the electricity goes through a lot of diminution of its power, a lot of generators that lower the power until it gets to your phone. But still, even though it's a very minute amount of power that comes into your phone, you still see the direct connection it has with the generators of the electric company. Yeah, it goes through a lot of different levels until it gets to that small amount that it won't burn up your phone. But it's just a general diminution, one after one after one after one after one, and you have millions and millions and millions of diminution. So you have a very, very small power. So too with spiritual power. But the spiritual power, even though it's very, very small, still it understands it. I'm connected to a higher power, and that higher power is connected to a higher spiritual power, and it goes through the worlds, from Olam Asiyah to Yetzirah to Bria to Atzilus and beyond Atzilus, until HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'kvayt ha'atzmai, and it's all spiritual. A physical world that hides HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a novel idea. It's not only, the Rebbe says, that only can come about through HaKadosh Baruch Hu's atzmos. That can't come about through a spiritual method of diminution and self-contraction. That has to come, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to take himself, his own power, and have to say, I'm going to hide myself in this world. And it's through Torah. We reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. And it's only through a physical body that has limitation and has hagbalot and meitzarim and gulim of this world. The neshama comes down to a world that's filled with klipa and sitra achra that are against HaKadosh Baruch Hu mamish. Uba'olam zeh atzmai. The neshama comes down and uba'olam zeh atzmai nilchemes b'yetzahara, and the neshama fights against the Yetzirah to rule over the Yetzirah and to dismiss the darkness and anything that would prevent Hashem's light from fulfilling itself in the body. And that avodah of taking the darkness and pushing it out of my life, that it's not part of my thought, speech, or deed, and then turning it into light, that inyan is kafir, is haptashal klipa, to take the klipa, to take the sitra achra, to take the forces of evil that a Kadosh Baruch Hu creates in order that we should fight against them, and they're against Hashem mamish, they're against the inyan of kedusha, to take those forces and to turn them into light. That's a great novelty. That's taking Yeshus, that's taking something and turning it into nothing. Hashem creates the world, nothing into something. We now, with our neshama in a body, we take that something that says, hey, me, look at me, I want. Wow, Kadosh Baruch was going to tell me what to do. That was power, right? He said to Moshe, where's the Kadosh Baruch going to tell me what to do? That klipa, we have the power through Torah and through a neshama and a guf to actually convert that darkness into light. And that conversion of darkness into light is taking that something and turning it into nothing, turning it into showing that even though it appears externally to be an actual something, it's really just he wants to give us a big test. He created this world to give us a huge, gigantic test. And we're all up to the test because the Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't give a person a test without giving them the power to pass the test. And that is hapshus of taking something that looks like something and really it's hard to imagine. It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu's ratzon being converted every moment into this table, and then to actually change the entire world, that the entire world would recognize that. That's a major novel idea, and that can only come through atzmos. Shavuot levadoi, that he himself, the koichoi, the yecholto, has the power and the ability, the bro lechadet yet me'ayin, to make something from nothing. V'hu noten et hakoach hazeh lasot me'yesh ayin, and he's also the one who gives the power to take this something and turn it back into nothing. Since this power to make something from nothing is also alluded to in the fact that Moshe said to the Malachim, you have a father and a mother. What does that mean, you have a father and a mother? He says, Yadua, that it's known, she'inyan ha'haloda, that birth, giving birth, is a type of something from nothing. Even though, yeah, for sure, there's a struggle, but the age that is experienced, childbirth, or has seen a child come into the world, understands that it's amazing, it's a miracle. And that's rock, the koyach shel so that's in the power of a Kadosh Baruch. The koyach in the and this koyach, the angels don't have such a power. Their power is a ray. They're a ray of godliness. But we, our neshamas, are a chelik elukam mamash. Our neshamas are a part of a Kadosh Baruch. Therefore, our neshamas are unlimited. But Kadosh Baruch Hu gives his unlimited powers and he puts it in the neshama. That the neshama, when it comes through all the worlds it has to come through and comes into a group, into a body, and then is born, the neshama takes a long time and a lot of Torah study, right? For the neshama to feel, yeah, who it really is, and to start expressing those powers, and a lot of generations of goals until Mashiach is finally revealed. But now we know that Mashiach is about to come and be revealed. All the simanim are here. Bezrat Hashem, and we've gone through all the work. So let's see it already, and let's do it, and let's experience it. And that was Moshe's hana against the Malachim. That this koyach hishadshus, that this power to create something from nothing and then to change that something back into nothing, that's rak b'nishmas Yisrael amata. That's only when the Jews' souls are down here in the world. Sha'al yedei avoidasam, that through their work in a body, hem molidim, they give birth, and they take the lowest levels of things and they make them. They don't only make a ilui in the physical world, they make also an ilui, an elevation in all the worlds, and they make this world a dira, a dwelling place to a Kadosh Baruch Hu's to his essence. So that's the union of Shavuot, that's the union of Torah, and we should all have a great Shavuot and a great Maamar Torah and a great Maamar, and we should be very for the Mashiach immediately.
Not Samir.
Lots of it.
Huh?